Hi again. So it's like you were really, really early. At 20? 20? That's crazy. We'll call it. Cat, hi. We'll call it. How's everything? I'm in the hot type of situation where I don't know if it's hot or if it's just me, but it's hot. Hi, welcome in. Welcome back. You. How's the day? How was the weekend? I guess it was a weekend. I guess it was a weekend. So yeah, how was said weekend? I changed some settings in my mic, so it might break. I'm gonna say that. I thought you had yesterday. Okay. I thought you had. Also, I found burrata. I don't know how to pronounce it in Italian. Uh, so burrata, very French, you know. I found one, and it's really bad. It's really bad. The one that I have in the shop that is nearby is really shit. And the one that I got from my delivery yesterday was really good. So it is exactly what I was looking for. You were right. I was right. We were right. And however, the shop have shit qualities, and that's the bad part. You know, that is the bad part. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. I am streaming on YouTube at the same time, but YouTube is going to be cut at 7. So in 1 hour and 30 minutes exactly, we will have a cut on the YouTube stream because we are going to slide on to the Apple event at 7 and then complain about what they are announcing. Yeah, and then and then go back to design. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Um, yeah, you was right. You were right on the name. It's really exactly. I mean, I was kind of right. I wasn't sure that it was burada or something else. Burrata. That's very Japanese speech. But yeah. Um, 90 windows, 5 screens, 2 car streams. That's crazy. That is crazy. Today for me has been really. Let me see if I can just load this easier. I guess I can. I'm not sure, but yeah. Um, today today has been about the uh, not the about page, but the new page that I just added, which is the progress view. So we had the progress view here in split sections where they were not encapsulated into a main card. Basically, what I mean. And so now this view, which I kind of talked about last week, is or give me the analytic dashboard view, which is a bit more, not more, which is a bit too complex today. There is way too much information and there is way too much data in there, but I have everything I need to then strip things down. So that's the plan. I already did the strip down of the hiragana and katakana version or pages to only have what is needed. So you just know where you are in your progress of the section specifically. And then if you go into like radical, it's the same thing. But then as soon as you enter the kanji side or the dictionary side, you will have more granular data about the the overall thing. And as you can see, there is like so many. But there is a ton of thing that needs to be fixed, including like this view specifically that charts of showcasing which one is master, not mastered. As I can see right now, for example, the N5 is the one that is at 100%, but in the top vertical bar charts, the N1 is the one that is at 100%, which makes absolutely no sense. And it's not necessarily like 100%, it's the amount of characters inside of said specific section, but it looks like this one is the biggest thing. So there is a need for this top section to get out. That's the first thing. The second thing is the dictionary section right here is now with a learning progress over time metric. So as long as you are progressing day after day, you then get the overall curve of how much you are supposed to be aware of or supposed to be knowing. So that's a good thing. I had a version that was a bit better than this one earlier today, and then I did or made the mistake of reverting without paying much attention, and I lost it. So now I need to build it again. But yeah, that's a pretty good graph. I think it's going to be really useful for me, but also for anyone that's learning Japanese and using the app to kind of see, well, progress over time. That's the goal. The thing that I'm really having a hard time getting and figuring out is the current state of the app is without much analytics data. There is like very, 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 very little amount of data and numbers linked to the entries. So the only thing that I know is when was the last time I saw this character, and I think there is one more data, but that's about it. And so the goal that I have right now, the thing that I'm trying to achieve is migrating existing data, like the thing that we currently know from the user point of view, that, you know, they are right here, for example, and this thing is fully mastered. Like all of these characters are at like 6+ levels. And so that means that they have mastered these characters. But then when you go into kanjis, for example, like only not only like none of them here are mastered. Some of them are in progress, but not much more than that. So inferring data, inferring progress data on content is the kind of complex thing that I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm rambling for a bit here, but that's where we are. We're trying to transform existing data into potentially better analytics data, to make sure that the outputs and the outcome of you know the metrics and the analytics is good and makes sense to anyone. I also did in the first version that I fully reverted last week. I had like fully inferred progress analytics, and that basically resulted in the app telling me that I had no progress or almost no progress because most of the characters had previous data but not new data, and therefore because not new data it was considered as not learned. It was a mess. So like the inferring is kind of complicated, and there is a ton of things that also didn't work in terms of the dictionary. For example, right now I'm going through the 1000 words, like the first 1000 word dictionary, and as you can see I have practiced a ton of content in there. However, I haven't seen a word from this one in like 3 weeks. So I don't know if I know. And so the space preposition system is supposed to bring me back some of the characters that are from the previous chunks in that dictionary, that I just reactivate, triggers my memory again. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, you get the idea. So that that's the new thing, but it's also kind of complicated because if I'm far away and then you have the ability to create a Kane, hi, welcome on in. How are you? Thank you for liking my post on LinkedIn. I appreciate it. If you are on chunk number
Kanamash's just resubscribed for 33 months.
33 is crazy. 33 is crazy. Thanks a lot for the resub, Kate. I appreciate it. And continues sub for 33 months. That's way too long. It's way too long. Appreciate it. Welcome back. God damn. God damn, that's almost 3 years. That is a long time. That is a long time. Holy shit. God damn. Appreciate it. But yeah, this thing. So if you are in, for me right now, chunk 14, I think, or 15, you basically have let's say 14, 7, 350 words before your current chunk to take from as a pool of learning. And if the user is in quiz length 5 questions, it means that 4 of these questions are going to be from the current chunk, and 1 of them is going to be from one of the previous chunks things. If I'm on the 25 questions, maybe 20 questions are going to be from the current chunks and 5 of them are going to be from the previous one, so that gives me more options. But I currently don't have the ability to say, give me a quiz with everything, because I tried, but it breaks the app. Basically, the whole system is trying to generate a quiz with as many entries as I can, and that basically means that at some point in some specific dictionaries, like the 1,000 dictionaries, I'm gonna have a quiz with 1,000 questions. That is not efficient and that is not viable as an app. So it needs to be chunked into smaller parts. But that's a bit of a weird thing. So yeah, I need to figure out how to create a revision quiz, something that takes as many previous knowledge as possible, and then take things into consideration when I'm moving on. So it's a mess. That's where we are. It's a mess. But it worked. The main thing, or the thing that is the most useful for now, is new users. New users will have almost full data analytics for everything. So their experience is going to be much better than the first 2,000 users that we have. And so that's going to be good. But then I need to port that whole analytics section through the Android version. And I don't know how I feel about that. You know what? I know how I feel about that. I know that I don't like it. It's going to be a bit of a mess. But yeah, that's been good so far. And we'll see. So for the title of today's video, which I guess I'm on LinkedIn now just to explain what I'm talking about, because it doesn't make any sense if I'm, not explaining. I have started kind of roughly to record videos and create content for micro consumption that is not TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And so this is like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes videos that are going to go on LinkedIn primarily on LinkedIn in the first place. And yeah, Stony, hi, welcome back. And so today was the first spot for the first video about why I can design things with AI and build apps, and why Stony can't. And why some other people like Nan and other devs are basically asking, like, how the fuck did you do it? So that's the first video, that's the first explanation. You will have more coming in later, but but yeah, that's the first thing. I have 5 video planned. They're all already there, right about here. Like all of these are available, talking about like ADHD and dyslexia and other things for AI and stuff. We have this one that is popping in 15 minutes. This one is the one from LinkedIn. So popping in, and it's just simple videos that just state where I am, what I'm doing, and I feel like it's gonna be easier for me to do this rather than doing anything else when it comes to video format. Like these have been a bit of a mess, and I don't mind it, but it's annoying. Creating like longer form video, even though these ones have been like mostly one shot recording, I feel like these make a lot more sense, and you know, like that's it speaks more to me. And as we've been talking about, and as other content creators have been talking about as well, create the content that you would like to see. And I would like to see shorter form content that is not like 1 minute, but that isn't 15 minutes either. So I feel like 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes ish here and there is a pretty good idea. It's really superficial, I feel like. In some cases, it's gonna go really quick into how things work because there is not much more to explain. But most of it is gonna go really fast and be really good. So I mean, be really good, be really simple, really to the point. So that's the thing. But we'll see. I have like a bit of a schedule. I'm trying, or I will try to do recording on Mondays if I can, so that I can edit them on the same day and then publish the first one on the Monday, and then maybe the second one on the next Monday. Or I'm doing that later, like on the same week. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be easier for me if I do bulk recording of content, 3 to 4 videos per week of recording on the first Monday of the week, and then that way I have like a bit of a backlog that I can just dispatch when needed. So yeah, that's a good thing. On this though, specifically on that video here, someone asked, or yeah, asked or commented something about basically replying to one of the messages that was already in the replies. So right here, for example, we have this person that asked Gothic. Hi, we'll call it. You're late. You were slow on this one. Also, good job on the streak. Seven streak stream is pretty good. 7 streak stream is pretty good. But yeah, like that person has asked for the Figma file, and so I shared the link, and then that person today has asked for the Figma file, which is the same. So if they just scrolled a bit, they would have had the link, but that's not what they did. So, you know, happens. Fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're okay with it. But yeah, and apparently that happens. I don't know why, but that happens. So it's the first time, which means we are far away from this. Really far away. They say 2,000 watch hours, but it seems that it doesn't count. So we'll see. We will see. But yeah, that's a potential. Nonetheless, cool stuff. Cool stuff. So yes, that's the LinkedIn strategy. We have like a ton of video planning, and then oh, damn. And then yeah, then we'll see if we can have things working soon. But for today specifically, I think this is re-enabled, and because we know that the Apple event is probably going to be filled with AI stuff, not as much as the Google event, which was like 93 AI drop on the same video. That's crazy. We'll see. We'll see. But that's like in 1 hour ish, and we'll see what we can do with it. So in the meantime, we may have some things to take a look at. And yeah, um, we have some things to take a look at, to be honest, right here. We have been, I mean, I haven't been on Twitter for a bit. I have liked some stuff, I think on Friday, but since then, not much. The last thing that we have seen that was some ass, which was good ass for once, here. We stopped somewhere around here, and then we moved on to more stuff. So I like this one, not because it's orange, but mainly because Dimitri is doing this, and this is not the first time I'm seeing that style on their end, and it's not the first time I'm seeing that style specifically on everyone else's logo design. Again, not saying that it is a pattern just yet, but it might become one. I think this is the 15th of these that I'm seeing. It's a very, very simple, like, design style overall, but like these half stickers kind of extruded representations are kind of common, or coming, or becoming kind of common. So keeping an eye on them might help, or all that. But maybe I'm just following the right person that are doing the exact same thing, and therefore it's not really a pattern. That's why I'm saying I don't know. But yeah, again, Dimitri doing like a lot of really good work anyways, so keeping that in mind. Next up, we have Gleb creating this amazing Pixel Princess plugin. And so Pixel Princess now is a new plugin Gleb has created to generate pixel art from vectors. So instead of requiring you to work at a very, very low size, you can create a vector shape of whatever size you want and pixelate it in a way that is true to pixelation in pixel art. So the whole thing is really, really simple. You just have your vectors, the thing that he talked about 2 weeks ago about understanding aliasing and vectorization, and then using that means that you can then control the pixels without really having to control the pixels themselves, which I think is really cool. So if you are interested in this, they have created, I think, this plugin right there, and I would highly recommend you take a look at it, because might be good. Might be good if you are into pixel art and if you want to have like some pixelated things in your design. Maybe do that. Maybe check it out. So good stuff. Good stuff. Next up, we have Jordan, which is, we talked about it before, that button right here, and they have shared their whole array of creations, which I'm unsure. I'm unsure. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I don't think it's that good. I don't know if it will take. But that's the thing that we might be seeing today, specifically this. So just to keep it in the background, keep it in the background, keep it there, keep it like a backlog of what we have seen in the past. you know, just for reference. Just for reference. This one seems like the 16th person creating a new camera app for your phone with a bit more fun. So this one is a bit of a Polaroid-ish type of situation where you can snap pictures and then you need to shake your phone to reveal the pictures, which if you've ever owned a Polaroid, you know that it's written on the paper, do not shake. Like while revealing, do not shake. Even though everyone is shaking the thing, you're not supposed to. So I feel like this is bad. But I understand. People are doing this. This is like by force of habit, people are shaking. So why not? Nonetheless, it has some really, really good thing. If you look closely, the viewfinder right about here is really the camera. So what is there is what the camera sees, and you can kind of see and aim and whatever through this without really having to zoom in, which I think is pretty interesting. And then you have the printing system. But other than that, it's the 7th camera picture or camera app that I'm seeing this week, and I don't know if I like it. So we will see. We will see. This was crazy as well. I don't know if you followed through. So this is the 4DV or 4D video AI, which lets anyone take a flat video and extrapolate a 3D video out of it. And that's kind of crazy to me. I do like it for many reasons. I feel like if you had the ability to do this on stream and I don't know, have a different angle, change the view, change the format, that basically means that the only thing that you need is one front-facing camera like this that always is front-facing, and then when you want to change your angle, you use this system to extrapolate the pixels that are on the other side. But this could be really cool. It could also be a bit of a first iteration of an holographic display, so that basically based on where you're looking at, you are repositioning the camera in the 3D space. So, you know, that's pretty impressive. The fact that it has the lens as well, of like the dispersion of the lens and the way that the refraction of the light works, is really impressive. Again, this is like example video, so I'm expecting these to be the most perfect example that they have. Like they wouldn't show you something that is broken. Well, you know, from examples is pretty cool. From an example is pretty cool. So, same thing. A lot of people are doing like apps, so that's good, I guess. This is for the devs around here. This is what you can't achieve. If you are a dev, you can't do that. Corner smoothing, like iOS is doing, continuous corners, is not really an option for you, which I'm sad about. But yeah, also 100% is a bit much. That's a bit of a side thing, I know, but I feel like the people that are using 100% of corner smoothing is when you don't know exactly how it works. You put it 100% because at 60% you can't really see the difference. You kind of can, but you can't really. And so you put it at 100 just to make sure that it just works. I think I did 100 for the buttons so that see that there is a difference. But other than that, VJ has created this thing, which is an interpolation thing. I don't really know how it works, but it basically reverse or inverse the Bezier handles of any points on a vector. And so it creates these really interesting shapes, which I think is really cool. It's not available yet, but again, core concepts really useful when you have to do something systematic on all of the points of vector points or vector shape. So, you know, good stuff as always. As always. What else did we have? We had this earlier today, which for once, this one is accessible. So far, all of the glass effect that we have seen in all of the people, designers that have been saying this is the new design type of thing, none of them have been really accessible. As soon as we had something else behind, like a different color, different image or something, it might probably break. This one, because it has like this drop shadow inside and the text being way brighter than it needs to be, the output might be absolutely accessible in the long run. So that's a really cool thing. So potentially, I'm doubting that this is going to be what Apple is presenting today, because it's way too polished for what Apple is doing right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was something kind of similar, mainly because of the latest version of the action button settings is really 3D. So could happen. Don't think it would, but could happen. Going back to Friday, I talked about this. Bottom section of the app, expanding to let the user access things that is thumb reachable. I said last time it was starting to become a pattern. It's consolidating. I'm 90% sure that this is a pattern. I need 3 more versions of 3 different people that are showcasing something like this to really assess that, yes, this is a pattern. This is something that will come in more apps later next year. But we are like this close. So if you are thinking about implementing things like this in your app, please do. I think it's going to become a pattern anyways, because it's useful and UX-wise it works. So, you know, maybe do it. Maybe do it. It's the same thing if you remember, if you were alive and on the iPhone when we went from iOS 4 to iOS 5, I think. In iOS 4, the folders was a fold in the wallpaper, and in iOS 5 it became a folder. In iOS 4, that expanding or unfolding element of origami view navigation thing is kind of same thing here. It's as if the content was unfolding underneath. And so that might be interesting, you know, might be interesting. I don't know. Might. That person is trying to build their own mouse, ergonomic mouse, and it seems that they are trying to build it themselves. As in really doing the piece and the PCB and the mouse shape overall. The thing that I'm unsure about, specifically because of how it is and how they're building it, this is going to be a mouse that is 100% perfect for them and their hand sizes, and I don't think it will work for a lot of other people's for sure. So yeah, Steffi, hi, welcome in. Um, how's the day going? Um, isn't it? Isn't it 1 a.m. for you? Why you awake? Why you awake though? Right? Yoshi, hi, welcome in. How's the day going? And I know. I mean, it's just, you know, it's late. It's late. It's late. Not here though, which is fine. But yeah, get some sleep though. Get some sleep. Sleep is good. I mean, I would say sleep is good, but yeah. Um, how's the heat wave? We've had like a heat wave. In Japan, specifically in Tokyo, at the beginning of last week. How are you good? You know, like, is it fine? I just have people that have been starting to say it's good. It's good temperatures. I feel like it was good temperatures for the past like months, almost. But yeah, just summer temps right now. Anyways, this is pretty interesting. One of the things that they have talked about earlier, and we talked about it on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, is their plan, or from 3D rendering, their plan is this being the scroll wheel would be touch sensitive, kind of like the Magic Mouse. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I don't think I hate it. But I also feel like it's not placed where it's supposed to be. Because like the goal from these mouse is to have your hands on the side like a Playmobil Lego hand type of situation, so that it doesn't really bother you. So I would take, if this is like touch sensitive, because that might not be the case, but if it is touch sensitive, I would have it like somewhere around here in the flat side to make it more ergonomic and more natural. Like just having it on the side makes kind of more sense than having to put your finger on the top to just draw it. I don't know. My hand gestures also. I don't have the thing in my, obviously, but yeah, based on that position, like it feels like it should be around here. Again, this is 3D printed. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. And based on the fact that they have the knob keyboard as well, and I think they are the creator of the knob keyboard as well. They are. They kind of know how to do physical things, so I kind of trust them. But also, um, to be checked. To be checked. But yeah, it's pretty impressive and pretty interesting to see someone uh, have a go at ergonomic mouses and different devices, hardware, keyboards, mouse wouldn't work together. And because they already have like this touch sensitive screen, they could have something similar here. But yeah, going back to this one though, if, and I would love this, if the thumb position on the one that they are creating is also like a touch sensitive pad that lets you as a user navigate horizontally, that would kind of be amazing. I know that when I'm using this, I'm kind of using both my thumb when I just need to do things quickly, or usually it's just like one finger. So, it's it's really nice. I would say yes. I'm just really scared of the scalability of the project, in terms of I'm small, I have small hands. This is a tad big for my hands. I mean, it's fine, but it's a tad big. The Magic Mouse, which I put on the side somewhere and I forgot what it is okay. And I grew up with micro mouses, if you don't know what that is. Um, I basically had these from 2006 to 2016, basically. God damn it. Uh, basically 10 years of 3 fingers on top of a mouse to do the thing. So, you know. Oh, and now I'm hot. Ah. Oh, goddamn. I don't think it would be for me either. Like, I'm not really the biggest fan of ergonomic things. The only reason I stopped using the Magic Mouse in favor of this is the side buttons, not the side wheel, the side buttons. And it just makes my life easier to just go faster compared to the slide on the trackpad. But then the reason why I still have a trackpad is because the Magic Mouse has the ability to zoom in and out directly on it. And before I switched to this, I didn't need a trackpad. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But yes, more option is always good. So we'll see. We will see. This popped in, and this is really cute. Going back to the regular thing. So this is like a really nice looking plus button, kind of glassy, kind of good, you know. And then this happened. This is the like of the Apple event. And so it's not necessarily glass, but it's still kind of glassy. So that's interesting. It absolutely lags like crazy. Like I loaded it, so it's fine, but it kind of lags. So we'll see what they have in stock for us. Don't think it's gonna be really good. Smatters counts. Oh, you just discovered that the smatters count as white flow. And see, I see. I discovered that Musk is a white ball of something. I didn't know. Not Elon, but like Musk. I did not know. I thought I didn't like it because most of the time it's paired with other things that I don't like in perfumes. And apparently I do like it. But on its own. So, you know, I need to layer stuff. Stony, going back to other things, you're probably eating stuff and either hearing me from far away or not hearing me at all. This was mostly for you from your question of last week. Yeah. You wanted explosion and things, and this one is a nice confetti slash animation thing. Most of it is interesting. I feel like Unicorn Studio might be better, and I also feel like this is not really how it works. I think this is like a Figma prototype that they are trying to match the transition because nothing really behaved like it's supposed to behave. but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Anyways, this one was not for the concept, but mostly for how it looks. The period tracker / pregnancy tracker, not good type of apps anyways. I mean, not my type of apps, but they have this kind of rotary 28 days, 21 days cycle, which I think is really good. But, you know, other than that, yeah, it's debatable. That navigation bar, though, is kind of shit. I'm gonna say it. It should, which is a big word, it could, it could benefit from the currently active one is white and the rest is black, or not having a background at all, and just the one that is currently active has a background. That would make a lot more sense from my point of view. The other thing that I'm seeing, and also I'm a fucking OCD person, they are not the same size. And we've been talking about this for a bit, where basically, it's not where it started. Here, if I paste that there, and let's just do that. You know, doesn't need to be that big. The overall, god damn it, the overall size of the icons right there is almost the same, but they are not centered properly. Like, for example, the fact that the text message is a bit smaller, it kind of means that the icon itself is somewhere around here, so that they are the same, but this one is popping under, which is not supposed to happen. But this should be like 1 pixel bigger to match the rest, but it's just visual alignment isn't there, and it's really sad because it's so close. It is so close. One of the things that I can say though is maybe I'm seeing this because I'm zooming in, and I hope that's the case. It seems it might be the case, but so sad. So sad. Anyways, the gradient in the background is really cool, as always. Period trackers and pregnancy trackers are really well made most of the time. Mixed. Well, come on in. How are you? How's the day going? You missed a pull up like 3 minutes ago. God damn it. This one was really, really cool. Of a concept. Is it the Eid? I don't know. Not I don't celebrate anything anyways, so yeah. I don't know, but thank you. So yeah, so that was an interesting concept. There is another one a bit above that, that is kind of similar that I do like. And then this one was an interesting concept for Dia. Dia has a very similar icons already, but like for the developer app icon for iOS, that could work. I feel like it's a cute concept. They could use that. That person shared this thing, and the community note shared that this icon doesn't exist, which is the truth. It doesn't exist. However, someone else shared this image and didn't get the community note, so I don't know. I also don't care, but we'll see in like 40 minutes. Anyways, and then from this is usually what's happening lately when I'm doing things in Cursor and it end up with, would you like me to implement these things? Yes. In 40 minutes, we have the Apple event, the WWDC 25 for the developer. Yeah, Worldwide Developer Conference, something, I forgot, I never know. And we're going to take a look at that. Have a bit of a live react situation. It's usually when they announce the newest version of iOS, so that I can have a bit of a head start on what every designer and their mom are going to do for the next 3 weeks. and then fade back into what they are used to do. So yeah, it does. It does. It's mostly like products, and usually it is iOS for like iPhone, iPad OS, Mac OS, and now that we have Vision Pro, we might have something for Vision OS 2 or something else. I don't really know, but yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Um, and then Charles shared this thing, and then I'm gonna answer your question about One UI a bit later. Um, Charles shared this thing from 12 years ago, which is really similar to some of the things that I've done as well. We've had like a really, really similar vibe if you go back to some of my Behance posts that I shared in the past. Um, why am I logged out? Why is me logged out? Makes no sense. Oh, bitch. Just lock me in. Thank you. Um, did I have it? No, it's in my draft. God damn it. Like this thing where if you take a very, very close look on this thing with the backgrounds of each of the buttons being like really subtle, and you have just this very, very slight border that you might not even see on stream because it's so subtle. This is the type of thing that I did specifically for these buttons, like the most invisible. I don't even. Yeah, you kind of can see it on stream. Like you had the slightest bitch off gradient that went from 0% around here to 0.1% around there, and even there, I'm not even sure that this is enough of a difference. But it might be too much of a difference. But that was the plan, so that you could see or have access to the validating or cancel buttons only when you had tapped on all of the characters, so that it will glow up or light up when it was available. And that was same thing. This is like a 12 years ago type of situation. And it's really fun to see that this thing, which is or used to be one of my inspiration for the same work on my other side, still there. So yeah, fun stuff. Side note, not really related to UI because most of you are not doing that, but Blender has released 4.5 in beta, and they are currently using Vulkan for the rendering in the main view. So instead of using Eevee, which is the thing that we used to have for a long time, now we have Vulkan for pre-rendering, which is really cool and a bit more efficient. It also has ray tracing, as far as I remember, and another feature that I forgot the name of. But another thing, so that's really cool to know and really good to have as an update, I would say. But yeah, there is like updating the geometry node behaviors. There is updating a ton of things, to be honest. As always, this is in beta, so if you are learning Blender, don't just wait, just wait, just wait. Don't do it just now. But it's gonna be really cool, and you're gonna need to kind of know how things work. But yeah, so it's good. Like overall, it's a really good update, and we'll see what comes out of it. But always good to see like Blender is still improving upon what they have. So yeah, this one was really cool. Do I need to say anything? I don't think I do. This is a really nice idea of deep search. Instead of having the shine on top of the full text, you just have it as the light is shining on the search, which is really cool. So details, small stuff, would you like it? As always. And then we had this thing. which is like a hold to delete type of situation, which is the same thing that we had last week of the sign, which was re-signing or retracing your signature on a document. This is the same concept, but it has more of a visual elements. So, details and thing that I want to point out on this one. It's good, but if you have fat fingers, you will never know. You will just see that when you start pressing, one side of the button is starting to be red, but the other side you don't know, your finger is on top of it. So, things to take into consideration when you're building new UIs. Fat fingers. I know. We don't think about it often, but it is useful to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, maybe that optimization of the icon when you're typing on the tab bar or something is not necessary, because when you tap on it, your finger is on top of the full icon. If it's your thumb, it's on top of the full button. And by the time that your finger is moving out, the animation already finished. Therefore, is it necessary to strain the UI and the system with more useless animation? Maybe not. So, it's still cool though. It is still cool, not denying that. And I saw that earlier today, which is pretty good reminder, I would say. They call that the UI stack. I never really did, but it's kind of, it makes sense. They call that the state stack. Similar. You have your ideal state, which is usually Morton. Hi, welcome on in. 50 times. Congrats on the confettis. Congrats on the confettis. More confettis, but still confettis. Welcome on in. So you have your ideal stack or ideal state, which is the design you have made the first time. Then you need to make sure that the perfect design that you have, if there is an error, you have a version of that same design with an error state. If it can't load because data is not coming through, or internet connection is not good enough, or the user doesn't have full information and so on, half rendered or half filled page is kind of necessary, and this is what they call the partial stack or state. The loading state is when nothing is happening just yet, and then the blank state is when it's basically empty states or pre-filled or preloading things. So if you basically define your initial and then you remove things, or add like error state and then you remove things and get your partial state, and you remove things and you get your loading state, you remove things and you get your blank states, you end up with your full stack of states. That's a thing to remember and keep into consideration and keep in mind when you're building UIs. Always make sure that you or the devs, depending on who you are and what you do, have access to all the things that are necessary for the product to be complete by the end of the cycle. That is the plan. That is the plan. I like this one just because I'm working on graphs and these are pretty cool, but that's about it. That is about it. This one was nice. I think this is the same person that tried to work on gold earlier this week. So that's pretty nice. And then we had this, which I don't like. That's fine. This one was really cool. This is a breakdown of how they have created this specific view. It's pretty interesting video to watch. It's really simple. You kind of need to have like the sound and all that to make it make sense, you know. But good to know. Good to have. Good to have. And then lastly, same as last week, but much better this time. So if you don't remember, last week, that person specifically, I think, or someone else has shared like a a picture that was really wrong, which was this one, and they said something along the line of, "This is bad and this is good," and that's as fake as it can be. Nothing in both states is good. Having a headline of 26 is a good thing, and diminishing it at 24 makes no sense. Having a sub-headline at 11 makes no sense. Having it at 16 is a bit too big. If you're on a phone, if you're on desktop, it's a bit too small. 24 for a headline is too small as well. So contextual representation is pretty useful, and there is like a lot of things like bolding the text lines or having more line height, kerning, and letter spacings. All of that makes a lot of sense. And then today they have made this where it is a real improvement, but a lot of things makes no sense either. So let's just go through everything. They said that this is plain, hard to scan, the date and label are less readable, and then there is no visual emphasis on the key metrics. Absolutely agree. However, bold balance, icon indicator, modern look, and friendly dates, I don't know if I trust that. But most importantly, do I really think that the account number is the key metric? I don't think it is. I think the account number is the least important thing. I think the price that you are about to, or the balance, because this is balance, balance is the most important thing, which is already as visible as it needs to be. And then the percentage might be more important than the account number. So I feel like, yes, it is more visually interesting and it has like a more interesting layout, but overall highlights the wrong data. Like, this is, I mean, also, we don't really know what that card is used for and where it's used for and who's using it. But yeah, it's better in terms of design layout, but it doesn't highlight the right thing. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's, small stuff. Small stuff. But that's about it. So to go back to your question, One UI, if I can type, would be amazing. One day it will. There will be. It won't do. So, I don't know if this one, the One UI website, is up to date with One UI 7. I think this one is for One UI 6. Thank you. So, even if I think it's kind of the same, let me just, you know what? Before I go through, let me check if we have like a website for One UI 7. I don't think we do. I can't trust Reddit for the website, so I'm gonna be forced to go through their One UI 6. It's probably different, but the issue that I have with One UI in general is that it is good until you look at it. If you don't pay attention, it's great. If you're a designer and you pay attention, it's kind of shit. Everything, if we can find one of them, that is kind of organized with their initial, yeah, we can't. The features, goddammit. Yeah. Don't really have details, that's so sad. Basically, nothing is aligned. Nothing is making sense, and it's the same thing that I was complaining about last week about Figma saying that they care about the details, that they, yeah, they don't. So most of the thing that we are gonna see around here, misaligned or not aligned at all, or different sizes for no fucking reasons, and even in their like marketing content, they sometimes have things that don't make any sense. The one that we were talking about last 3 months ago, I guess, because we talk about One UI pretty often, was the setting view. And in the settings of One UI, it's just bad. Nothing really makes sense. And so, let me see. One UI. Um, yeah, shit like this, where the alignment is just non-existent. And it's the case for almost everything in their implementation, where like that's not a line, that's 45, that's 50. Like you can kind of see that around here. It's offsetted by like a pixel. It just makes no sense. From a designer point of view, it just makes no sense. Um, and we all recognize that this is like from a designer point of view, so most people don't really see that, but from a designer at Samsung, doing this makes no sense to us. So, like here, for example, you have nothing that is aligned really where it's supposed to be. This is a line on the left, but it's not a line on the right. The alignment for your icons is not the same as the rest of the content. The text around here is bleeding through by like 1 pixel, and nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. This one was crazy though. I remember this, where you have some overshoot. That's fine by me. But the fact that it's not centered and you have still this amount of space in the center right there, that you could use to just, shift your full icons, be centered and be good, and then just disconnected be on the side. That could be an option. And then here, that's killing me, but that's, makes sense to me. So, yeah, that's the thing. This is actual screenshots of One UI 7. Yes, welcome on it. That's the sad thing. This is debatable. I do understand this. Like this one kind of makes sense where things are not necessarily working because of device and output. But if it's like the manufacturer device was the manufacturer UI, it makes no sense. But yeah, all of these is or are like the real implementation that Samsung is presenting as their best UI yet. And it's not true from a design point of view. From a user point of view, why not? But like, are you really that uncentered? Like, can you not just 2 pixel to the right or 2 pixel to the left just to center the thing? No, you can't do that. God damn it. What phone do you use? Because this one is, they say that this is the Galaxy S3 Mini that they have, and I don't know if these are screenshot from them directly, but If it is, I don't think it is. But yeah, like this one is hitting me though. 163, 169. I do understand the 169 on the side, mainly because it's text, and so steps might be I don't know in French. I was about to say might be pas, PAS, which is like shorter, but that wouldn't make any sense either. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, the Material 3 Expressive that has been released is much more interesting. I was debating in is it good, is it not good? And they have made a lot more stuff that are really interesting. It's just not as good as I hoped it could be. Then, if you look at this, for example, the left side with the icon padding on the left is really good. It works with the rest, but the right side with the text padding doesn't. By like not much, but it doesn't work. It needs to be a bit bigger on the right side. Same thing here. It needs to have like a teeny tiny bit more on this side to make it make sense. And there is like a ton of teeny tiny things again, like this. But overall, the design language and the choices that they have made are seemingly pretty appreciated. As always, more customization to your phone will lead to more design consistency to your phone. The fact that, let's say I'm the designer that built Material Expressive, I know that. My goal is to make sure that it's the least destructive as it can be while still giving you the ability to be expressive. That makes sense. That's in the title. So I'm gonna make sure that I can do that, but I'm also doing my best to ensure that things are accessible and readable and that it's automated by the system to kind of work. But sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. They have been telling things that I just don't trust at all. But I get it. Like, they are coming from here, they are saying that before there was no colors and now we have some colors and that's much better. Yes, makes sense. But you will have some issues with customization. Most of the time, it's the font. The font is shit. Font is just shit. But yeah, it really depends. Like they have said things like in between these two, for example, they say based on that this is ungrouped information that can blend together. This is not a great representation of what can blend together. Right now, this screen is amazingly made. Like, I have nothing to complain about. You have your payment, which is what happens. You have your favorite, which is right there. You have titles to separate everything. And then here, everything just seems crowded and tight and not really good together. But I understand their point of view of saying that, yeah, that's a bit more separation, and then therefore you can see the location, the sections, all that. I don't know. But they have said something on one that we talked about before, which I don't think they have here. But they basically said we have like a 80% discovery of a button for sending a message or something. The only thing that they did was have the button basically in the center of the screen be bright pink. and they said that yes, people saw it better. And I was like, yes, obviously, but yeah. How to say if it's good design or bad design? Good question. The most obnoxious answer that I can give you here, which I will, is good design, you don't notice it. Bad design, you complain about it. That's usually what happens. So you are using a specific like app and you just use it. And you'd never say, oh, I'm looking for this fucking button every time. No, it's just where it's supposed to be. Your brain has understood that specific buttons are supposed to be in specific places, and the thing that you're trying to look at, find, and use right this instant is where it's supposed to be based on your internal model. Either because the tool or the app has taught you how it works, or because it's just where it's expected to be from the rest of the app. So the first thing is, do you notice the design itself in a negative way? If it's in a negative way, it's usually a bad design. If it's in a positive way, it's usually like, okay, that's fine. That's a noticeable element that is meant to be beautiful or delightful or something, but that's like the small details. Like, I don't know, this thing right here, you might notice it because it's bright green, or you might notice it because it's nice. I don't know. You decide. That's a you thing. And that's basically how it is. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you don't really notice the design itself, and you don't really complain about it, it's gonna come to uniformity and like consistency across the whole design. So if you have the ability to, but usually you can't, to check like the spacing in between elements. Like all of them are using, I don't know, 20 pixels for each of the spacing. And then some of them are at 24, some of them are at 19. There is like some inconsistency here and there, but if it's visually aligned and it visually makes sense, then it makes sense. However, if it's always the exact same thing, like they are all at 8 pixel for everything, it might become too redundant and not really good. But we talked about this on the There Is No Rules video on YouTube, which is somewhere along the line of, can I find it? Why can't I find things when I'm looking for things? Right about where you at? There. So on this one, for example, this specific video was about like rules and how people are saying that you need to follow like a on grid rules type of situation. So this is like following the 8 points to the T, and everything is like a multiple of 8. You have like 24 in between these two, 16 in between these two, 8 in between these two, 4 in between these two. Like all of that makes sense, and it's a really good unified design overall. But then this is also a very good design for what it's used for, and there is not a single 8-point grid thing. So based on context, you also have to know, like, is it a dashboard or is it like a fun game? And so you will have things. So the stuff that Johnny Hive has said to the Stripe conference that I talked about 2 weeks ago was, if it doesn't work, it's ugly. And I think it's one of the best thing you can think of. Like, if the design that you are building is the most beautiful thing, but it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. It's ugly. If it works, but it's not the most beautiful thing, works and it can be improved upon. But if when you improve upon it, it becomes better, but it doesn't work anymore, then it becomes ugly again. So you need to find the right balance in between the two. So something like this, for example, is beautifully designed and it works for the target audience, which is like kids and also like me when I was in school and I used to play this game. Where I'm here, for example, I'm getting something that is working. And is it like the most beautiful thing? Maybe not. Could I have made it more beautiful? Maybe. Would it have degraded the user experience because there will be more confusion into effects and styles and things? Probably, and therefore it will be less good of a design. So I say that's the most important thing or the most logical thing is just, are you noticing things? Like if you're here, do you notice where things are? Do you need to look for the search bar? Do you not need to look for the search bar? You know, that's the usual thing. And where you're here, do you need to understand like the use cases? And it seems yes, like some users have told me that for me here, this button is not understandable, which I'm taking into consideration as a feedback, and then I'm implementing like better potential things to make it stand out or to make it more understandable in the beginning of the learning phase, where people will be like, oh, where do I click to learn or practice or do things? So yeah, that's the thing. So your overall thing, for me at least from my point of view, is, do you notice the design in a bad way? Yes, therefore it's a bad design. Do you notice the design in a good way? Therefore it's probably a good design. And if you don't notice the design at all, then, you know, it's probably good. Because you don't have to complain about it and you don't have to say anything. So I feel like it's going to be fine. I feel like it's going to be fine. Also, we are really close to this thing being available and being at time to start, like 7 minutes. So we'll see. We're gonna have to do the usual dance with the volume and things, which I don't know how it will work today. But we'll see. We will see. Based on that, as always, based on that, this would be probably glass, and I'm expecting more work on the Apple Vision Pro than on other things. I think it's gonna be overall good, but I'm also expecting a lot of shit. I'm I'm expecting to complain a lot about what they are about to announce. I have been saying for the past, I think, 2 years, I am okay with companies not releasing software updates, like drastic software update and hardware update every year. Like we could have an iPhone in 2025 and a new iPhone in 2027, and I think we would be fine with it. All of us. I think it would be good if it was like a more substantial improvement. Currently, that's not the case. The fact that they are renaming and redesigning the entirety of the software every year makes absolutely no sense to me. So the fact that we are moving from, like, my mom came back here 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I forgot, and I updated her iPhone because she was still on iOS 14 when we were moving to 18. Like, people don't update. And that, I mean, to me, as a designer, as someone that works with users, user behaviors should impact your development cycles. And if your users don't update, that's a bit of a saying that you don't need to update. You know, you might just be good with it. Might just be good with it. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. So we're gonna take a look at that in a second, for sure. We'll see what they announce. I do think like the biggest rumor that we have is that instead of having iOS 19, we're gonna have software specific 26. So iOS 26, iPadOS 26, macOS 26. Because they say they announce it in 2025 and it comes out in 2026. So therefore it's the name of the year in which it will be used. And I think it's a bad idea, but I get it. The example that a lot of people are using is the Galaxy S something, like the Galaxy S25. It makes sense because they release it in January, so it's 11th, generally 11th usually, or 13th, and it's just S25 for 2025 because that's the year that we are in. But yeah, it's also that I don't think people update their phones. I do because I'm in tech, but most people don't. Again, when I was in Japan and I changed this phone, my 13 Pro to the 15 Pro, there was someone which was upgrading from an iPhone 6 to a 15. And because it was Japan, the iPhone 6 was in perfect condition because that's how they are. Yeah, I've seen the iPhone 10, the iPhone X in jet blacks on the same day. I had someone else that was a 5C, you know, the plastic one. They're using it. And as I said, even though dusty, this is still a thing. And when I plug it in, the battery kind of stays up, and it still works. The touch is still good. The reactiveness of the buttons are still nice. And if I could, I would change the battery and just use that because it's still really good. But it's so tiny. Though I wouldn't use these though. These are great, but these are more like collectible than anything else. So, you know. Details and stuff. Anyways. Oh god damn, that's so loud. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't have that music in the background while we hear. That makes no sense. Okay, so can you hear this? Probably yes. I can't have that too long. God damn. Goddamn. Oh, gonna be a bit of a jump around on this one. Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. The current state of things is pretty fine, where like they have no real update so far. 13 is three years late, so why not? But if you don't have the funds or if the phone really work, why not? Why not just use the 13 for now? Dave, so can we hear that? Can you hear that? Also, I think YouTube is gonna be ending stream. Bye, YouTube.